Chapter 31. That is more money than we've ever kept in our shared account. A sick feeling washes over me. Is Levi involved? It's ludicrous. There must be a plausible reason why Levi would keep so much money in our account. I'm certain of it. The bank lady asks if I'm still there. Uh-huh, I manage. The statement for September's activity will mail out on Monday. Would you like to change the address back? No, keep everything the same. I'll get the statements from Levi along with answers about the unusual activity. I ask, is it possible to put two addresses on the account? No, our policy is to mail one hard copy. A beat later, she adds, but you could give your email address and authorize monthly statements to be sent electronically also. After I follow her suggestion, I end the call but remain standing in the kitchen. Harry rubs her head against my leg. I do the math on Levi's per capita payments. He turned 18 in January, which means he's been getting the adult amount for almost 9 months now. $36,000 a year means $3,000 each month minus taxes. Last year, as a minor, he got $12,000, which probably worked out to around $900 a month after taxes. Plus, he's reimbursing his mom for payments on the Hummer she financed for him. When the bank lady said the current balance, my first thought had been to question whether Levi was involved somehow. I feel ashamed. I had believed the worst about Uncle David. Haven't I learned anything about jumping to the wrong conclusions about a loved one? But I'm supposed to follow clues wherever they lead, aren't I? It feels like a battle raging between my brain, gut, and heart. In the before, I usually relied on science and math, linear thinking. But does that mean I should ignore my gut instincts? Is it like a pie chart where making one slice larger takes away from the other slices? Harry bites my chin, annoyed by my leg jiggling under the covers. I push her away. Go bug Mom, you pest. I put her in the hall and close my bedroom door, only to toss and turn. I try pushing away every troubling thought from today by thinking about Jamie. His kiss in the elevator, and later in my hotel room. I imagine what someday might be like with him, and slide my hand under the blanket. But why did Jamie's kiss feel different this afternoon? Right before the storm hit. Stormy. I've got to figure out how to question Stormy. Stormy's dad. I know the sour look Grand Mary gave Mr. Noden's grandfather. She had given me the same look when I told her about Grandma Pearl fixing my earache with my pee. Psh! The moment is ruined. I'm left with no choice but to recite the periodic table of elements. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. Do you even know what I did to prove my love for you? Travis pulls an old revolver from the back of his jeans. He follows the sound of my gasp 10 feet away, aims the shaking gun at my nose, cheek, mouth, forehead. Don't shoot, it's Donis, Lily gapes at me. What are you doing here? Each scent finds me. WD-40, pine, Travis's stink, damp moss, decaying bark, ammonia. I'm gonna die. Lily will watch me die. She's for real? Travis asks. 'Cause the little people won't leave me alone. They're out here, all around me. He slashes diagonally at invisible enemies as if his gun has become a machete. He isn't paying attention to me. I can grab Lily's hand. We can run from him or get into Jamie's truck. Travis aims at my face again. I'm terrified. I don't want to die. I want my mom. This will kill her too. Travis, the little people aren't trying to get you. Just give me the gun, Lily says. She reaches for it, insistent. A steady palm with fingers outstretched. Give it. Now. He holds it out for her to take. His hands are twitchy to the point of spasming. Travis, give me the gun before you hurt I can't do this without you. His hand steadies. I love you. Pop. Lily falls backward, landing on her back, arms outstretched. Travis stares at her before turning to me. They're so mad at me, he whispers. The little people. I just wanted her to love me again. She's the only person who ever loved me. Believed me when everyone else ditched me. If only she just tried it, Donnie. But she wouldn't. So I added it to my cookies. She didn't want those either. This was the only way. He raises the gun to his temple. I snap upright, grateful for the noise beyond my bedroom door, pulling me away from that dream. No, not just a dream, a memory. The horrible moment when Travis steadied his aim and shot Lily. I've known Travis practically my whole life. How could he do that to Lily? Travis killed her, all while saying how much he loved her. Wait, I dreamed the words. Lily's last words were to protect me. Travis said something about the little people? Am I unlocking memories or just inventing them? One of the elders had mentioned the little people. It takes me a minute to remember. Leonard Manitou, Macy's grandpa. He doesn't eat lunch at the Elder Center every day. I want to ask him about the little people. Asking the right way means bringing Sema to him. I'll need to pick up more pipe tobacco today before I get Granny June, just in case he's there. I hear the noises outside my bedroom start up again. The squeak of the mop wringer. Water splashes back into the bucket. Familiar pine scent drifts beneath my door. Mom's midnight cleaning frenzy. He loved me. I know it, David, even after what I did. My brain automatically translates the spoken mishmash of Grandmary's French, Grandpa Lorenzo's Italian, and the language Mom and her brother invented together. I should have told the truth. No matter how angry I was at him, everything could have been different. My baby would have her dad. Mom must be dipping the mop in the bucket, sloshing water with frantic motions. David, he promised we'd have everything after he made a team. He thought Mom and Dad would accept him then. Be patient, Grace. We're on Indian time is all. My mother's laugh is a delicate giggle as she compresses the mop wringer again. I said, doesn't that mean always late? But Levi said, Indian time really means that things happen when they're supposed to. She begins to cry. I usually pull the covers over my head at this part. Tonight, I slip from my bed, open the door, and tiptoe down the hallway. Why can't Indian time let you go back in time? Change the things that weren't supposed to happen. We never should have gone to the island. I shouldn't have looked for him. Never should have opened that bedroom door. He said she got him drunk. Well, I was at the party too, and no one was twisting his arm to do all those shots. As I move through the living room, her words are unintelligible between raw, choking sobs. My brain fills in the gaps. This is not my first time hearing her heartache. Why did he jump in the truck at the last minute? He should have just let me go. Why did I drive so fast? Why didn't I just hit that goddamn deer instead of swerve? Why did I lie and say Levi was driving? Why? I answer from the kitchen threshold. It's the first time I've interrupted her confessional. Because that night you wanted to tell Dad about me, and instead you found him in bed with Dana. I say as gently as possible. She rushes into my arms, still weeping. I continue. Because you were shocked and angry that he cheated and broke his promises to you. Because you were a 16-year-old girl who was scared about what your parents would do when they found out you were 3 months pregnant. I lean down to kiss her forehead, the way she did to me every night after a bedtime story, the way she still does whenever I have a fever. There's healing medicine in these kisses. Because you panicked when the police showed up, and when you tried to tell the truth later at the hospital, no one believed you. Then your parents sent you to live with family in Montreal. By the time you came back with me, Dad was married to Dana, and Levi was born. Her voice is a resigned whisper. It's so unfair. Dana got everything he promised to me. My heart breaks for her life altered by secrets and scandals, by wounds so deep the scar tissue keeps building up, layers of bulging, dark red keloids encasing her until she cannot move, leaving her stuck somewhere in the past. Scars made by the broken promises of Levi Joseph Firekeeper Sr., the king of guy lies. Maybe my first wound was so deep that it never healed. My mother wasn't the only person he made promises to. My dad was the first guy who ever lied to me. I was 7 years old. It still hurts. Chapter 32. 3 days after her heart seized from too much meth, Robin Bailey's family and friends fill the church at St. Mary's. Her parents are Catholics who don't follow Ojibwe traditions about the 4-day journey. Some Nishnabs blend their religious faith and traditional Ojibwe spirituality, like adding sema to the incense during Mass. Others, like the Baileys, maintain a clear division. I sit in the pew closest to the stained glass window that has the engraved plaque honoring Grand Mary's parents and Grandpa Lorenzo's as well. My grandparents unofficially claim the pew as theirs. Mom sits alone here on Sundays now. I stopped going to Mass when I was a sophomore. One Sunday, Grand Mary likened Catholic Indians to converted Catholics, claiming that organized religion was something brought to Indians by French missionaries, so people who converted to the faith were somehow less than original Catholics. Where do I fit into that hierarchy? I asked her. Don't be obstinate, Donis Lorenza. You're a Fontaine, not one of them. Every Sunday from then on, I joined Uncle David in a booth we unofficially claimed at our favorite restaurant. He realized a long time ago that, as Grand Mary's gay son, he wouldn't be admitted to the VIP section of her heaven. The God I pray to is here with us, Donis, with you, me, and our pancakes. I'm surprised when the familiar Catholic prayers and responses come so easily from me. I'm even more surprised to find them comforting. My mind goes back to sitting with Robin in the student union after I threw my textbook at TJ Keewaydin. She was so helpful that day. You don't have to be a superhero. Donnie, it's okay to not be okay. I only wished she had taken her own advice. I knew about her broken clavicle. It happened the same time as my first shoulder injury. The last home game of my sophomore year, Robin's senior year, an opponent slammed into the two of us like we were bowling pins, and he was going for a strike. He got ejected from the game, but not before receiving high fives from his teammates. Robin and I ended up at War Memorial Hospital. Auntie was with me because Mom couldn't handle seeing me in pain. When my aunt looked at the prescription the new doctor had written for me, she handed it back. I'm not giving oxycodone to my 16-year-old niece. The doctor puffed in indignation. I assure you, it's safe for short-term use. Auntie wasn't having it, telling me, girl, you're sticking with Tylenol and Ganigi tea. Is that how it started for Robin? A 10-day prescription of oxy and no hypervigilant auntie? Maybe her parents believed the doctor about it being safe. Maybe she didn't think she could ask for help. It's hard to let people down, and harder still when your expectations for yourself are even higher, especially knowing that some people enjoy pecking at your mistakes and flaws. No guy should have that power over you, no matter who he is, or how much everyone adores him, or how much you still want him. Who had Robin given her power to? There was something bone-weary in her sigh that day on campus. Which guy had made her feel the opposite of powerful? Had she felt there was no one on her side? Not even the guy she still wanted? Would Jamie and Ron see Robin only as an addict, or, if my suspicions are correct, as a meth dealer? They don't know her story. I don't know her story either, but I know she has one. Had one. I can try to find out and share the stories that might help the investigation. I need to be part of the investigation. The community needs to be part of the solution. The funeral home director closes the lid of the casket. Robin's mother makes a sound that is an amplified version of the one I made when I saw Lily's body. The horrible bleeding that I hadn't realized came from inside me. How many more loved ones will know this anguish before the investigation ends? After the funeral mass, Robin's uncle invites everyone to the gravesite for the burial and rite of committal, followed by lunch at Chimakwa. He also announces the benefit hockey game on Friday, 3 days from now, for the Robin Joy Bailey Memorial Foundation. Mrs. Bailey looks my way and smiles through tears. I've agreed to play on the Sioux High team. Coach Bobby first asked those of us who had been Robin's teammates on the boys' varsity team to participate before filling out the rest of the roster with current varsity players. The entire town is pitching in. Call Me Grant donated his services to set up a nonprofit foundation. Dana pledged a huge donation on behalf of the Firekeeper family. The Sugar Island Ojibwe tribe donated the full billboard in town, advertising the fundraising event with Robin's senior picture in her Blue Devils hockey jersey and leaning against her stick. It had to come together quickly because this coming weekend is the only one without a Soups game until the league pauses for Thanksgiving break. The Superiors always take the first weekend in October off for Shagala Saturday. It's the biggest weekend all year for the town. Not just the town, it's special for me, too. My birthday is on Friday. I skipped the funeral lunch so I can take Granny June to the Elder Center. Passing the little convenience store on the way to the ferry, I remember the SEMA for Leonard Manitou. I'm relieved when they have a decent variety of tobacco. Auntie says the kind for rolling cigarettes is harsh on the lungs, and it's better to get the good pipe tobacco for gifts. I purchase a few pouches. When we arrive for lunch, I eagerly scan the room. A few weeks ago, Leonard mentioned the little people, just like Travis did on that terrible night. Leonard's story had something to do with being lost in the woods. Maybe he was hallucinating from the freezing cold. After a minute, my heart sinks. Leonard isn't here today. Minnie makes the sign of a cross at Granny slathering ketchup on a pasty. I eat my lunch while scrambling for a backup plan. Minnie might know what her son is doing today, but how do I ask her? My mind goes blank. Granny June and Minnie talk about how to determine if someone is fluent in Anishinaabe-moan. When you can say, "There's a man sitting on a horse eating a slice of apple pie," if you can get through that, you're fluent, Granny says. Hey, Minnie counters. It's when you know which words are animate or inanimate because you just know which ones are alive. Johnsy and Jimmer pause while passing by to chime in. You're fluent when you can tell the difference in dialects, Jimmer says. It's when the language teacher says you passed the test, Johnsy says in fluent smartass. Sini speaks up from the next table over. You're fluent when you dream in the language. The room falls silent with a consensus of nodding heads and pursed lips. Right then, Leonard Manitou walks in. I sit up, blinking in case I'm daydreaming. He comes over to our table and drops off Minnie's prescription medicine refills. After he kisses her cheek, Leonard gets a cup of coffee but nothing to eat. He joins a table of friends. If Leonard ate somewhere else, he might not stay long. As soon as Granny June and Minnie finish, I rush to take their trays to the dishwasher area. What's your hurry? Granny asks. Minnie didn't get any better at pinochle overnight. What you don't know about cards could fill a book, Minnie retorts. After dropping off the trays, I cross the dining room. I'm nearly to Leonard's table when Auntie comes in. Johnsy shouts across the room. Hey, Big Cheese, how much are we paying you? Ignoring him, she grabs my arm and drags me outside. Holy shit, Auntie is pissed. Is it true you're playing hockey on Friday? Yes, it's for Robin. I glance around the parking lot. Bullshit. She wouldn't want you to risk. But she's not here, I snap. That's why there's a game. Auntie narrows her eyes at me. I don't know what's going on with you, but I'm gonna find out. You can count on that. She pokes a finger at my chest. I expect her to walk away, but my aunt is just getting started. You're making stupid decisions. You're running around with a different crowd. You don't come around and play with the girls. She's right. I'm such a bad auntie. But she doesn't understand that I'm doing this for our community. So the twins never have to lose a friend. Or each other. I shudder at the thought. I can't tell you, Auntie. I know I'm hurting you, but it's for your protection. You return maybe 1 in 4 texts. Your ma says you're never home. Classes are... Donna's firekeeper? Don't you dare lie to me, Auntie shouts. Is it that soup you're snagging? You're really going to be one of those girls who forgets herself as soon as she's in some guy's bed? Does my aunt think so little of me? That I'm capable of losing myself over a guy? I'm not. TJ said he doesn't trust Jamie. What? I'm too stunned to respond immediately. We just stare at each other. You talk with him? After what he did to me? I hate the shrillness in my voice. Auntie takes a deep breath, but before she can say anything else, I cut her off. TJ Kuwaden has no right to speak to me or about me, ever again. There's more going on. She tries to interject. No, there isn't. I take a few steps backward. Before I turn away, I leave her with, Auntie, I thought I could trust you to always be on my side. I wait for Auntie's SUV to leave before returning to the dining room. The elders make a point of not looking at me. All they know is that Auntie yelled at me and that, knowing her, I probably deserved it. But I had yelled back. Something is shifting between my aunt and me. I don't know if it's good or bad. Maybe it's both. Hadn't Lily told me I had black and white thinking? They go about their normal activities. Granny June and Minnie play pinochle with Johnsy and Jimmer. Seanie works on a puzzle but glances up periodically. When Leonard Manitou returns from refilling his makade mushkeke wabo, I'm sitting next to his seat. I slide the pouch of sema onto the dining table next to his coffee mug. Mishomis, would you please tell me about the little people? If now isn't the best time, we could meet up whenever works for you. Auntie taught me that when you gift sema and ask for something, it's good to give the person an option in case they need to think about your request. Please be ready now, I silently plead. My leg bounces beneath the table. Leonard puts a hand on the pouch of pipe tobacco and gives a single nod. My relief turns to eagerness. You said you were lost in the woods? As soon as I offer a starting point, I feel ashamed for taking it from him. My impatience got the best of me. I can hear Auntie scolding me. You know better than that, Donis. He looks up and to the side, accessing his memory files. I was 5, chasing a rabbit with my slingshot. That was good eating then. Still good eating. What I wouldn't give for some wabu snabu. As he swallows the memory of rabbit soup, I say a quick prayer that it's savory and warms him through and through. The snow came down heavy, snowflakes big as my thumb. Got turned around, but I kept walking. Figured I'd reach home or the next house. I was a quick little guy. I'm sure my mom called for me, but I was too far away. He looks out the window, lost in thought. Didn't get scared till dark. I tucked my arms into my shirt beneath my coat like this, eh? He crosses his arms and tucks his hands into his armpits. Looked for a pine tree to crawl under and lean next to her trunk, but it got so cold. You ever know cold like that? I think of shivering on the fasting boulder with my thick wool blanket and plastic tarp, Stormy's dad drumming in the distance. If I'd needed to, I could have shouted to him. Someone would have come for me. My experience was not like Leonard Manitou's. I shake my head. Pretty soon, the little people were there. Smaller than me, but not young like me. The stories I heard about them weren't nothing to be afraid of, hey? Little mischief makers, enjoying some shenanigans. Tying my mother's laundry on the clothesline into knots. I always like a good shenanigan, so I followed them. Came to a boulder. One of them old grandfather rocks that have always been here. I was at the rock and then I was passing through it, traveling on a stream beneath the island, like a highway, crisscrossing I don't know where. His face lights up. We took Macy to a water park when she was a Quezon. She rode down the tunnels, fearless, laughing each time she shot into the pool where her dad waited for her. Made me think back to them underground springs. My granddaughters like me. I wasn't afraid. I waited for him to say more, but not with a sense of urgency. It is enough to sit with Leonard Manitou and hear whatever he wants to share, whenever he's ready. We are on Indian time. They led me back through the rock. I heard my dad shouting for me. I called out and he found me. Gone 2 nights and 2 days, hey? I told my parents where I was. My dad said that couldn't be. But my mom and my Nokomis always left gifts for the little people. A copper thimble, tiny knitted toques, sema, bear grease medicine. Grandma Pearl left items like that outside. When Art takes care of a ceremonial fire, Auntie always fixes a small plate of food and sets it at the edge of the woods. I've always heard about the little people, but I've never paid much attention to the stories. Left your boots outside and now they're by the outhouse? That's the little people. Shoelaces tied in knots? Them little people are playing a trick on ya. Firewood scattered on the ground instead of stacked? Must have been the little people. I never heard anyone say anything bad about the little people until Travis. Do you think they have it in them to be malicious or get mad? I attempt to be casually curious rather than heart-poundingly, did Travis provide a clue, secret squirrel inquisitive. He thinks a while, long enough that I wonder if he forgot my question. I had a cousin who used to sniff gasoline. We'd find him passed out next to the car. One time, he said the little people yelled at him, but he kept on sniffing. I asked if they still came around to yell at him. He wasn't always there, know what I mean? Leonard Manitou taps the side of his head. He told me the last time they came around, they cried for him. He never saw them again. This was your cousin? I say. He nods. Skinny Manitou. Only his grandma called him Elmer. He could draw an idea and you'd swear it was a photograph. Damn shame. He caught himself on fire. Gasoline on him and he lit a cigarette. He shakes his head. Chimigwich, I say. Someone you know sniffing gas? I nod. Something like that. Chapter 33. Like everything about the investigation, Leonard Manitou's story leaves me with more questions than answers. I wake up the next morning no closer to resolving any of yesterday's questions. What was Travis messing with? And why did he think the little people were so mad at him? Did he really see something, or was he hallucinating? Do any other elders have stories about little people or mushrooms that I could try to learn? Is it possible to solve one riddle without tumbling down more rabbit holes? I head to the ferry with my scattered thoughts. Leonard Manitou was nearly the same age as the twins. The little people took him through a stone? Fearless Macy launching off the end of a water slide. Knowing her, she'd strike an action pose. Fist raised in the air. Buttercup from the Powerpuff Girls cartoon I watch with the twins. Auntie's words still sting. How can she think I'm acting foolish over a guy? Ditching her and the twins for the new guy in town? Telling me that TJ Keewaydon claims he's no good. It's none of her business, and it's definitely not his. If TJ wants to look for bad guys, I've got a mirror he can eyeball. Crossing the river, I make an offering from a new pouch of Sema. I give thanks for Leonard Manitou's story before asking for help. I really need a win today, I say aloud. I check the time. Last period at Sioux High. The guys will be headed to Chimuckwa for soups practice. Now's the perfect time to ask Levi about the joint bank account and hopefully clear everything up. The quiet lobby at Chimuckwa feels unnatural. It's the calm before the convergence of hockey practice, city volleyball league, drop-in basketball, dance classes, after-school programs, moms pushing strollers around the indoor walking track, and satellite courses for the tribal college. There is a soups fundraising bulletin board next to the concession window. Today's newspaper takes up most of the space, with small photos of Robin tacked around the front page. The headline announces Sioux Superiors versus Blue Devils All-Stars on Friday. There is no mention of Robin. Team captain Levi is in the main photo, along with both coaches, Call Me Grant, Dana, and other big cheeses who've donated. I scan the article and finally spot Robin's name in the fourth paragraph. She's already an afterthought. I distance myself from the bulletin board, walking backward until I'm in the hallway leading to the volleyball courts. The lobby doors open. Guys laugh. Mostly familiar voices. Boasts about girls they're snagging or hoping to snag soon. Sighing, I decide to remain hidden. I don't feel like joining Hockey World just yet. Who's that pretty Indian girl with nice tits? Asks a voice I don't recognize. Macy Maneater, Mike says. They laugh. Wait up, Levi calls out. Footsteps approach as he catches up with them. The unfamiliar voice asks, well, who's the incredible bulk that Johnson's boning? She's got a nice ass. My hands ball into fists. Are you fucking kidding me? Levi shouts a second before there is the crunch of a fist connecting with bone. Don't you ever talk about her like that. She's worth 10 of you. Dude, that's his sister, Mike tells the clueless guy. I peek around the corner, torn between being grateful to Levi and being upset that he resorted to violence. Stormy and Mike pull my brother away from a guy catching blood in a hand cupped under his nose. You so much as look at her and I will end hockey for you, Levi seethes while flexing his fingers to assess any damage. I react as if jolted by an electric shock. I've never seen my brother so enraged. His voice and coiled stance are unrecognizable. Mike notices me and quickly nudges Levi. Hey, Donis, Mike says with exaggerated friendliness. Go on ahead, Levi tells him. Not you. He gets in the bleeding guy's face. You apologize to her. His teammate makes the briefest eye contact with me, enough for me to see his shame and fear. I'm sorry, he says, voice muffled by his hand. Levi watches the guy hurry away while I observe my brother. I don't like the glint in his eyes, because it isn't from anger, but rather satisfaction. It's gone from his face by the time he wraps me in a massive hug. Did you see me go all goon on him? Levi lightens his tone, jostling me before he lets go. Dad would be proud of me, defending your honor, hey? Levi, you were beyond goon. It was disturbing, to be honest, I admit. Hey, nobody disrespects my sister. But guys say stuff about girls all the time. You talk about girls like that. My shock finally crystallizes into thoughts. If you're that provoked when the comments are about me, maybe you should think about the comments you and your friends make about any girl. Dumbfounded, Levi stares at me. It takes a half a minute before my brother has a light bulb on moment. I never thought about it like that, he says. When Levi hugs me again, I'm filled with hope. He's not a violent goon. He's my brother. Not perfect, but capable of growth. I hug him back even more tightly. Then, for some reason, we both laugh like little kids sharing a private joke, and Levi playfully shoves me away. What brings you here anyway? He asks. Waiting for Loverboy? As if on cue, Jamie enters the lobby. His smile reaches his eyes. In one fluid motion, he grabs my waist, twirls me once, and continues on his way. Holy wah, that was hot. Smooth moves, my brother calls out as Jamie heads to the locker room. Then Levi looks at me expectantly, waiting for me to answer his question. What did he ask me? For a second, I can't think of anything except imagining Jamie and me on the Shagala dance floor, and today's appointment at Mrs. Edwards' store, which I've been dreading. I haven't been there since it was Grand Mary's boutique. It might not be so bad. A fitting for a dress when I have no idea what it looks like, or how much it will cost. Money, bank, Eureka! I laugh. I called the bank across the river to make sure there was enough money to cover dinner. Why are you keeping so much in the joint account? Levi looks momentarily confused before he has his own Eureka moment. Oh, that, he laughs too. I'm buying land near Searchmont. Sweet investment, you know? Figured it'd be easier using our Canadian account. Holy tycoon, I say, giddy with relief. I got my answer, and that's that. Why Ontario? Coach Bobby's always looking for property here. None of Coach Bobby's businesses ever take off in a big way. Levi says. He tilts his head. Can I ask you something and you promise not to get pissed? Okay, I say hesitantly. Grand Mary's not like getting better, right? I stare at my shoes. If she passes away, will you transfer to U of M or stick around now that you got something going with Jamie? It feels good to show genuine surprise. I don't know. I had a plan for my life, but everything is different now. Maybe you need new plans, Levi says. Remember, Coach Bobby always says, failure to plan means planning to fail. I smile. How come you've spent half the time I did with Coach, but you quote Bobby LaFleur's wise words more than anybody? He shrugs and flashes his perfect smile. What would you think about investing with me? Levi asks, suddenly boyish in his earnestness. A business opportunity where we could work together. Your genius brain plus mine, we'd be unstoppable. Grand Mary always said not to mix business with family and friends, I say. He raises an eyebrow. Why not? Because they'll think it's a democracy, but a successful business needs one leader who can make tough decisions and be an asshole. Grand Mary said asshole? I translated it for you, I say. We laugh. Seriously, though, he says, it might be good advice for everybody else, but we're special, hey? We look out for each other and keep it real. Levi's right. When the shit goes down, we've got each other's back. Speaking of failing to plan, what are you gonna do for your B-Day? He asks. I mimic his exaggerated shrug from earlier. Play hockey for Robin, go to Shagala the day after with Jamie. Mike's parents are doing their usual Shagala after party in the Ogima suite. We could throw our own all-nighter at his house. Is there anything special you want? It comes to me immediately. Something I want. No, something I need. Dad's scarf. You always say it has to be somewhere in your house. Can you look for it? My 8th birthday was the first one without Dad. Levi tried cheering me up, but nothing helped. Until one day, my brother gave me a photo of us with Dad. Levi and I were wrestling him tag team style. I had just leaped off Grandpa Ted's recliner onto Dad's back. Levi was supposed to tag out, but he kept attacking from the front. The camera captured Dad mid-laugh. I'd been so afraid of forgetting things about him until I looked at the photo. That's what Levi's gift was on my 8th birthday. Dad's deep, rumbling laughter. He'd laugh like that, pulling us around the rink with his extra long scarf. Although I know now that it must have been so painful for him to skate on mangled legs. Dad was happy to be with us on the ice. Levi hugs me. For you? Absolutely. I show up early for my dress fitting. My, Mrs. Edwards says. I half expected you to be a no-show and thought I'd need to send a search party for you. I follow her to what used to be Grandpa Lorenzo's office overlooking Ashman Street. The windows are now draped in sheer curtains that puddle on the floor. Her desk is a fancy glass dining table in front of a huge, ornately framed bulletin board covered in fabric swatches. On the opposite exposed brick wall, she's mounted a trio of matching oversized mirrors. The outer two are hinged to create a dressing room area complete with a small raised platform. Oh, Mrs. Edwards, it's beautiful, I say in genuine awe. That's right. You and Grace haven't seen it since we renovated. I'm expanding into bridal gowns, even trying my own designs. She pauses before asking, will your mother be okay with the new look? Mom doesn't do well with change, I say in the understatement of the year. But it doesn't matter, because this is amazing. Grand Mary would have loved it. Mrs. Edwards gets a little misty-eyed before collecting herself and waving in the tailor she inherited from Grand Mary. The tailor displays a red gown with a flourish. I force a smile because they're watching me. Dresses have never been my thing. My first surprise is that I have to step into, rather than dive into, the garment because it's pants. Silky wide-leg pants with a fluttery, transparent overlay. When I step onto the platform, the elegant pants flow like a skirt. There's a deep pocket along each side seam. Bra off, the tailor says. Really? I glance around. But what about my top? You're wearing it. I stand topless on the platform and twist around to stare at multiple angles of myself in the red pants, before noticing a weird train attached to the back of my waist. With a grin, the tailor bends to lift one panel of the train and drapes it over my shoulder. She does the same with the other before pinning the ends of the red silk into my waist. The sleeveless top exposes skin to just above my belly button. Holy, I say. Mrs. Edwards laughs. Is that good or bad? I don't know. It's all out there. Listen, you're the only person who can carry this off, she says, appraising me in the mirrors. Anyone with cleavage would be too exposed. Oh, don't look at me like that. We'll fix you up with some double-sided fabric tape so there are no wardrobe malfunctions. No one can forget seeing Janet Jackson's boob during the halftime show at this year's Super Bowl. Now, do you have hot rollers? No. Mrs. Edwards tisks. Stop by tonight and you can borrow mine. You'll want to blow dry your hair, spritz it with setting spray, and roll small sections until your head is a helmet of rollers. When you take the rollers out, you pull up the front half into a high ponytail and wrap your mother's strand of pearls around it and pin into place. Not the real pearls, but the good fake ones. And ask Grace for your grandmother's ruby and pearl drop earrings. I only have pierced ears because Lily made me do it. She said I could either get it done at the mall across the river, or she'd make me drink grappa until I passed out and do it herself. Mrs. Edwards scrunches her nose. I'm not going to get makeup on you, am I? I shake my head, already overwhelmed by her hair tutorial. Indulge me with some red lipstick, for your grandmother. I sigh and nod. As I pay for the dress and the golden tube of red lipstick that Mrs. Edwards insisted was perfect for me, my BlackBerry vibrates. Auntie, come over tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Important. I mull a response, still hurt that she would listen to TJ over me. But it doesn't feel right when Auntie and I aren't on the same page. When my mother returned to the Sioux with baby me, it was Auntie who told her about my dad and Dana and Levi Jr. It was Auntie who brought me to Sugar Island to spend time with my dad and Firekeeper grandparents. She was the one who told us the horrible news when my dad died. I've always been a firekeeper. Auntie made it more than a name. She made me family. Me. Okay, 8. Mrs. Edwards tries opening the top drawer of the antique dresser that serves as a checkout counter. It's where the smallest paper shopping bags are kept. Donis, this piece is gorgeous, but each drawer has a mind of its own. Either they stick when it's damp out or the drawer guide won't stay in place. Grand Mary had me behind that counter for so many hours. I know every inch of it. I laugh. I know. I always searched for a hidden treasure. I was convinced I'd find a secret drawer in the dresser, but I never did. So many lovely childhood memories here, Mrs. Edwards says with a smile. The alterations will get done tonight or tomorrow morning. Stop by any time tomorrow after lunch, she says. You know we'll be open late tomorrow and Friday, but it's only going to get more chaotic. I practically float all the way to the Jeep. I've never been this excited about going to Shagala. The way Jamie led me in that one spin at Chimakwa. Oh, Lily, I wish you were here. How can I be so happy and still so sad? Grand Mary, I should stop by Evercare with Jamie on the way to Shagala. Maybe she will have a light bulb on moment. She won't approve of the low-cut top, though. I wish Dad could see me. Uncle David, too. My uncle would have helped Mom get over how much skin I'll be showing on Saturday. He always helped her through all the secrets and scandals. Secrets. My heart skips a beat. It was Uncle David's desk at school that had the secret drawer. Chapter